baby, I'm as bad as they come. Said you wanna have one, yeah. You with the hottest under the sun. But be careful what you wish for. Make you eat your words. If I'm more than what you bargain for. Fun to flirt, but promise to deliver. Much is required. Cause look at what I'm giving you. You ain't really ready for real. You ain't even ready for real. You ain't really ready. Won't be faithful to someone ungrateful. I can't try to make you if you ain't you. You ain't really ready for real. You ain't even ready for real. You said you want a real one. Well, it don't get no realer than the realest one. Baby, can you handle it? If you really want it, better come get you some. But be careful what you wish for. Make you eat your word. If I'm more than what you bargained for. Want dessert, but you ain't finished dinner. Much is required. Cause look at what I'm giving you. You ain't really ready for real. You ain't even ready for real. You ain't really ready. Won't be faithful to someone ungrateful. I can't try to make you if you ain't you. You ain't really ready for real. No, You'll never miss a good thing until it's gone. Oh, baby, you know you're wrong. Yeah, I know you're gonna earn it right back. Say you changed, but baby, I know that's cap. I see reality, and the fact is you ain't really ready for real. You ain't even ready for real.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to do this particular video this past weekend, particularly Sunday. That's normally when I get my biggest audience. And I want to say peace and respect to everybody that comes in, everyone that watches this on the replay. I'm going to give you an overview of why this happened. It was a horrible situation where the Supreme Court in Oklahoma dismissed their case. It's horrible. And so I know people have talked about this, but I'm going to give you the legal reasons why they did what they did, whether we may not agree with it, but they're trying to kick the can to the legislation of Oklahoma. And I'm going to break down what that means. Also, I'm going to give some shout outs to the one and only Yvette Carnell. I have to give her a shout out. I have to give her a shout out tonight because I'm going to use some materials that she actually used on her live stream that I thought was on point, that was extraordinary. So I want to give her a shout out because she really did a great job on her program breaking down the whole situation as it relates to this lawsuit, the reparations, all the things that people deserve. She made a good point. I want to put them back on the screen. You've got Miss Randall, and you have Viola Fletcher, and you have Van Ellis Sr., who has unfortunately passed away. And I want to put this up on the screen here. Like so. The only two known survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre, and make sure we always call it a massacre, not a riot, because it was a massacre. Miss Randall 109 years old. Miss Fletcher, 110 years old. And the third, Mr. Hugh Van Ellis on the right, who you see on the far right. He has unfortunately gone home to glory and has passed out of the third dimension into the God dimension.
Tell the truth.
At 102 years old. What I think is going on is that I believe that they are trying to stall the survivors of this massacre. They're trying to stall them out. They know that they're in their hundreds. They're hoping that they pass away. Now, when black people in general talk about reparations, we will have people that are against us and even people in our own group that will say, well, we're never going to get it because you don't have any living descendants. You don't have any people who lived through slavery or Jim Crow or whatever the circumstances are that black people have dealt with in this country. They will tell you, well, where is the living? Because the reason why the Native Americans or the reason why the Japanese got this, because here you have 3 individuals alive. They were children when this happened, but they were alive when this happened, lived through it. And even Viola Fletcher said that she still has nightmares, still has concerns, still lives in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area, but has made mention of still having what we would call today, by psychological standards, PTSD, post-traumatic syndrome, which obviously she would have. Miss Randall, who we don't talk about enough, she was impacted by this whole thing. It was her lawsuit, this lawsuit that they took against Oklahoma. Remember, they tried to sue, I believe, the first time, the city, and you had that judge who threw it out. They appealed and pushed it up to the Supreme Court of Oklahoma, the state. And Miss Randall was one of the plaintiffs on the statute that they took against them, which was based on nuisance laws. And I was wondering, like, why did they go with the nuisance law, right? Why did they go with that? It seems like it may not be strong enough for their case. That's the first thing that I was thinking in my mind, like maybe the nuisance law is just, maybe that's not the way to go. I know that Yvette Carnell talks about we have to go with harm, what harm was done to us. Now, we already know what the harm was done. We know it. There's pictures, there's property that was destroyed. I'm going to show you what they did that made it very difficult. So here are some pictures like this right here, right? So this is an example. I'm going to show you the examples because they have a strong case. I'm just wondering, the public nuisance law that they tried to go with in Oklahoma, I just wonder if that was effective enough, or it was effective, but those justices or the injustices of Oklahoma Supreme Court just didn't want to deal with the case because they did not want to set precedency. I'm going to tell you what that is that they were concerned about. This shows you that in America, racism was at an all-time high then and still remains today. Nothing has changed. You would think that, hey, here's 3. At one point, there was 3 living victims. There are two living victims, Miss Randall and Miss Fletcher, are the living survivors today. Remember a couple of years ago, they had a memorial for the Black Wall Street. They put up a monument. It was the centennial anniversary. There is Mr. Ellis right there. Here he is right here. He has gone on to old glory, as I said before. And remember, we had Jim Crow, Joe Biden, who, by the way, let me put up a picture to add more effect to the situation, y'all. Right? So we have Mr. Jim Crow Biden, who went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, gave a speech. That's about it. Remember, I talked about this before. Gave a speech, but yet never really came up with a reparations package for the victims, which in this case were Mr. Ellis, who was 102 years old when he passed away, Miss Randall, who was one of the main plaintiffs, along with Miss Fletcher, on the recent lawsuit to the Supreme Court. So here she is, Miss Randall at 109 years old, as I said before. Here we have Miss Fletcher, who we all know her. She's the one that they tend to do interviews with. She's very, woman has a hit on her that's very sharp, can talk and express. She has said out of her own mouth and lips, her beautiful mouth and lips, at 110 years old, right now, on various programs that she's been on, that, yeah, she wants some restitution. She wants reparations. So this whole thing about all our elders, they wouldn't be for any of this reparation. See, ain't this a damn shame that we have black people today in the year 2023 who will tell me and you that we don't need no reparations, that, oh, black people gonna spend it all. We're gonna be pocket watching black people. Oh, we don't need to worry about that. But here you got the woman herself, Viola Fletcher, out of her own mouth says, nah, we want reparations. Even Miss Randall wants some, which is why she's on the plaintiff for the whole situation. Let me show you this. This is a very comprehensive show. Randall versus the city of Tulsa. The three plaintiffs sued the city of Tulsa and other defendants. This is legal talk here, y'all. They based their claims on Oklahoma public nuisance statutes and unjust enrichment, which was the enrichment of white men destroying property that didn't belong to them, like this. Like this. Look at these pictures. Black people lived here. I'm going to show you, like Yvette Carnell did on her show. Shout out to her again, because she brought up a really nice, she found a nice website. I think it was the New York Times that did this, where you could take a trip into exactly the businesses that they had. So I'm going to go over and let you see in a sort of walkthrough of what the town looked like in a recreation structured, not a complete recreation, but a little example of what it might have looked like, and the businesses, not what the businesses that were actually there, so that you can see what was lost. So this is why Oklahoma as a state and Tulsa as a city ain't worth a bag of fries, and they ain't shit. You heard me.
Tell the truth.
That Supreme Court ain't shit for turning them down in this case. Now, here's another picture of the destruction. This was their own cinema theater. Black folks had their own barbershops, their own theaters, their own grocery stores. These black folks had more than we got today, with all our sophistication, with all of our cell phones and our all of our internet, all our technology, all our college education, all our vocational skills, all of our mouthpiece. They had more collectively than most black communities have today. And they did it under the pressure, the stress that they could be killed. Remember, I told you during Jim Crow, when they introduced Jim Crow, it was illegal for a black person. It was illegal for a black person to hold hands, a black man to kiss a black woman, to show affection in public. It was illegal for a black man and woman to gaze into the eye, particularly a black man to gaze into an eye of a white woman, look her way. When white people would walk on the street, we had walk on the sidewalk, we had to get on the street. And we're talking about Jim Crow as it started to form itself going into the 40s and 50s, coming out of the 30s. But we're talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1925. Remember this, folks, that Tulsa, Oklahoma is the only, when they say, hey, that America has never been bombed with bombs, that's a lie. They will tell you that it was Pearl Harbor in an island called Hawaii. No, the first place on American soil that was bombed was a community called Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921. We call it Black Wall Street.
Tell the truth.
You see, white people in this community were jealous of what black people had in this community that we all talk about so much today. They were jealous because black folks in those days, in that particular town, in that community, had more than white folks. And those white men who were part of the military, part of the Ku Klux Klan and all other white supremacist groups, they got into planes, and flew over the community and bombed it by airplane like they were in a war, like they were back in World War I. They did this to Tulsa, Oklahoma. So there is so much data, so much history. How in the hell could they tell you and me that these beautiful black people here, Miss Randall, Miss Fletcher, and Van Ellis Sr., who has passed away and gone on to glory, that they don't deserve restitution? And remember, in this community, you also have the descendants, meaning the children who are now adults, who are related to some of these great black people in this community that were destroyed, that were killed, that were ravaged. It was a massacre, not a riot, a massacre. A massacre is completely different because these white men took up arms, went into the town, burned homes down, burned businesses down, pillaged, robbed, and killed.
Tell the truth.
And then you have this Supreme Court. Let me let you see what the Supreme Court justices looked like. Look at them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 white people. The Supreme Court in Oklahoma doesn't represent America. There's not one black person or any person of another ethnic background on this court. And you can look at them by their age and tell that most of these white folks on this no good Supreme Court in Oklahoma, which ain't no better than the Supreme Court of this country, when you got people like Uncle Tom, Uncle Tom,
Tell the truth.
Clarence Thomas, mic check, mic check, mic check. Uncle Tom, Clarence Thomas, taking money, doing that whole Supreme Court in this country is corrupt, and this Supreme Court, far as I'm concerned, is corrupt too. You can look at all these white folks on here, and how many of them are related to the actual white people who pillaged and did the damage and destruction in Tulsa, Oklahoma? Ask yourself that question. Some of these folks on this Supreme Court of Oklahoma may be related to the very individuals who did the damage. What do we always say, ladies and gentlemen, when they say, hey, we didn't have anything to do with it. It happened a long time ago. It's not our fault. You benefit. The pillaging, the robbing and killing, and the destruction of the economic strength of Black Wall Street, which was a blueprint for what black people could do and should have done in other parts of the country. But every time we tried to do this, you had Rosewood burned down. You had many black communities that were destroyed because of jealousy, envy. And then we ask ourselves why we don't have generational wealth today. The generational wealth went to people like this on the court, the judges, who are related to some of those folks that did the pillaging. You see, when you look at Nazi Germany, and you'll see how this connects, what did they do to the Jewish community? The Jewish community got restitution. They got reparations because why? When the Germans put them in internment camps, they took their property, their wealth, everything from them. They stole it. And therefore, they got the reparations as restitution for their lost property, lost money, loss of value, loss of generational wealth, and then they gave them generational wealth right back with reparations programs in which they gave Jewish people a leg up in this country to get themselves back on their feet. When you look at the Japanese, they got $20,000, not a lot of money by our today's standards, but they got money based on what? They had property, land, and various things stolen from them. It's the same argument that we're making here in California with the California Reparations program, that there were black people that got land stolen and what have you. Same thing in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where black people had land destroyed and then taken. And remember, the city of Tulsa, Oklahoma, they blighted this community to take it from them and destroy them. And then remember, over the years in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in this community, over the years, as they were trying to rebuild, do you know that they tried to rebuild again and they made laws in this community in Oklahoma to keep them from being able to rebuild? So the black people that you have living there now still to this day, they've done things over the years to destroy the community, like building a freeway right through it. Freeways destroy communities. So under the law, what was the law that they used? Again, I'm going to talk to you about it again. The 2023 Oklahoma statute, Title 21, Crime and Punishment, 21-1191, Public Nuisance, a misdemeanor, universal citations. Every person who maintains or commits any public nuisance, the punishment for which is not otherwise prescribed, or who is willfully omitting to perform any illegal duties related to the removal of public nuisance and a guilty of Look, they destroyed property. They killed people. Matter of fact, do you know that they didn't even, when Jim Crow Biden went down to Tulsa, Oklahoma during that centennial, remember they had to re-dig up graves because black people, when they were killed by the white folks in this community, they just threw them in the ground. So you had black people's bodies that were laying underneath the ground in the soil who never had a proper burial. Let's keep that in mind. We got D-Dubs Gaming Plus. Give me the $5 super chat. Let me pull this up. What's going on, last call? Judah Queen, I see you in here. Appreciate you for coming through with the super chat, and everybody who's in the chat room. I definitely appreciate it. He says, Gaming Play, he says, it's the remains that Booker T, it's the rumors that Booker T. Washington helped bring down Black Wall Street by giving white men the layout. Well, you know that one of our problems in Black America is that we have a lot of sellouts. We have a lot of raccoons. You know what I'm talking about. That's been our biggest problem. And we should have taken a lesson from our Haitian brothers, because remember, what did the Haitians do during their revolution? They got rid of their raccoons. They made sure they got rid of anyone who wasn't down with a revolution against the French. So they got rid of their sellouts and their raccoons.
Tell the truth.
Our problem in Black America, I'm talking about black folks who come from those slave plantations, is that we went right from the slave plantation into Reconstruction, into black codes, into Jim Crow, into segregation, and those same sellouts that were on the plantation that would tell the slave master, I know where they went. They went that way. They went that way, master. That way, master. You've been good to us, master. I don't want to leave, master. Those same Negroes that would tell on us when we were trying to escape and get away, as Malcolm X spoke about the field Negro and the house Negro. The field Negro said, let's hide, let's get away, let's escape to a better place. Where the field Negro said, why do I want to run from this place? I'm being taken care of. I get to wear the good clothes, eat a good meal. I mean, if master's sick, we sick. Okay? But the field Negro, as Malcolm X said, you know, I'm not paraphrasing him word per word, but y'all know where I'm going from here. Malcolm X said that the field Negro, when the master's house caught on fire, the field Negro, he wished for wind and more pillage of the master's house. He wished for it to burn all the way down, while the house Negro was praying for rain.
Tell the truth.
So our problem, last call, our problem, highly flavored.
Information is
Our
power.
problem, Sister Judah Queen. Our problem, another CG. Our problem is that in DoorDash Revolution, and everybody in here, Canadian, our problem is that we've got too many people selling us out. And we have to identify who our enemies are within our own group and the sellouts. We need to identify them so that we can have a strategy to make sure that they can't interfere in what we're doing. It's always good to identify them, to know. Let me get back to this presentation. So as I said before, I'm going to bring up some legal issues here. These people here are responsible for the bullshit. You see, they didn't want to set precedents. They wanted to tell Viola Fletcher and Miss Randall and their lawyers that we're not willing to set the law, meaning they didn't want to create a law to open up the floodgates of other people being able to come in and sue under this statute, that they didn't want to make law, that they simply wanted to tell Viola Fletcher's and Miss Randall's lawyers that y'all gonna have to take it up with the legislation of the state of Oklahoma. You're gonna have to make the lawmakers change the law. See, they're kicking the can around here. They're giving them the runaround. The Oklahoma Supreme Court could have made precedents here and gave them the reparations that they deserve, but they didn't want to create in their mind. Let me just break it down to you right here. Oklahoma statute 74, state government, chapter 83A, findings of the 1921 Tulsa Race Riot Commission. So right here, let me read the part where it's highlighted. The documentation assembled by the 1921 Tulsa Race Riot Commission provides strong evidence that some local municipalities and counties officials failed to take action to claim or contain the situation once violence erupted. In some cases became participants, which are the very people who they would have to deal with in a lawsuit back in those days. the same people that were involved in it were involved in the legal system. So they had everything stacked up against them. I'm going to show you why. Because participants in the subsequential violence, which took place on May 31st, June 1st, 1921, and even disputed and many white men who were part of a mob that killed and looted and burnt down Greenwood area of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tell the truth. Okay? And remember, I told you that Miss Randall was part of she's one of the three. Of course, Mr. Elliott passed away, unfortunately. That the OK public nuisance law says that a nuisance exists when an offending party unlawfully doesn't act to perform a duty which act of omissions are either, first, annoying injuries, right? Or endangering the comfort, right? Reprisal, health, and safety of others, or second, offending decency. So all of that was done to them. They were endangered. They were put in discomfort. Their health was at risk because black people had died, passed away, were killed, were deleted in this situation. If y'all can hear where I'm coming from here, what I'm saying, put sevens in the chat room. I appreciate those that are here tonight. A nuisance is public when it affects at the same time an entitled community or neighborhood or any considerably number of persons. So this is why they went with the nuisance law in this case in Oklahoma. This is Oklahoma law. Although the extent of the numerous or damage inflicted upon the individuals may be unequal, the court said this, y'all, that it applies. Check this out. They applies it to public nuisance laws only when someone have committed crimes constituting a nuisance. They committed crimes. They did these things. Or to cause physical injury to property, which is what they did. Or participating in a offensive activity like a damn mob, which is what they did. That remedy, the property uninhabitable, meaning they can't live in uninhabitable property. This is what they're saying. Now, you would say, why all these years was there not a loss? Why is a lawsuit came after all these years? Why didn't they sue a long time ago? Well, just like Yvette Carnell said on her program, they actually did attempt to sue. Let me put this up here. I want you all to check out this article. It's called Everything They Owned Burned and They Still Can't Get Restitution 102 years later. This was put out July 28th, 2023. Opinion. Check this out. This was an article, I believe, in the New York Times. You might want to check this out. These two gentlemen right here that you see on the article that I'm showing you, I'm going to put a bigger picture of them, were lawyers. They were lawyers that were hired by the people in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They filed a lawsuit when this happened. And these men are literally got their law books on this picture. They're literally taking count of damage to people's property. Literally, while homes were up in smoke like this, these brothers were in some type of tent or something. Look at this damage, destruction. And while this destruction was going on, they did have lawyers who were already jotting down the value of the property. From the left, I.H. Spears, Mr. Thomas, and B.C. Franklin in their temporary tent office after Tulsa Race Massacre 1921. They're taking a tally of the damage. And then this right here, let me read to you. In 2020, in 2003, Greenwood made another major legal push. So they've been at this for a long time, y'all. Back in 1921, they were trying to sue for what those white folks did, and they couldn't get the suit through because all the people involved in the courts, in the law system, they were all part of the mob, and they also were members of the Ku Klux Klan, and they started changing the laws in Oklahoma in this particular community to keep black people from getting what was due them, those that did survive. And then they turn around and blighten the community because of their damage, what they did to steal the land, but also deny black people the right to what was theirs. I'm going to say again, in 2003, we were here before. In 2003, Greenwood made another major legal push for restitution. More than 100 massacred survivors and their descendants filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the city of Tulsa. This is back in 2003. How many of y'all remember this? The arguments were similar to those of the original suit that these brothers right here brought when the whole damn thing took place. The lawyers you see on the screen. This is crazy. The city had failed to protect its citizens from members of the mob. Instead, they had empowered their calculated destruction. They encouraged it. They empowered it. But the defendants insisted that the statute of limitation on filing such lawsuits had long expired. This is a damn shame.
Tell the truth.
On filing such lawsuits had long expired. A federal judge ultimately agreed and cited. The federal judge was a white supremacist, a hater, a Ku Klux Klan. The whole deck of cards was against them from top to bottom, y'all. Let's get back to this. A federal judge ultimately agreed and cited the lawsuit filed by Mr. Franklin. Mr. Franklin is one of the lawyers. Mr. Franklin is the brother to the left that you see with papers in his hand, trying to get them restitution back in the day. So for anybody that says, oh, well, why didn't these black folks that were back then, why didn't they file this lawsuit? They did. And there was also a suit that was put out in 2003. And many of us have probably forgotten about that situation. Let's go back to this again. So Franklin and others as evidence that Greenwood residents had already had their shot at restitution. In the warped view of the court, those initiated efforts to seek justice in the face of obstacles, the attorneys, at least one of whom was aligned with the Klan. Remember I told you that the Ku Klux Klan and all these folks were involved in this stuff? Yvette Carnell talked about this on her channel, so I'm shouting at her again because she brought a lot of this information forward on her channel not that long ago. That one of the judges on the lawsuit was aligned with the Ku Klux Klan and actually undermined the whole lawsuit in a late attempt. So this was undermined. So when these brothers that you see right here, ladies and gentlemen, these brothers that you see right here, when they attempted to do a lawsuit back when this happened in the 1921, you had everything rigged. Ku Klux Klan police, Ku Klux Klan legal system, a judge that was presiding over their lawsuit who was a backer and a supporter and a member of the Ku Klux Klan.
Tell the truth.
And this is why today, why black people don't have generational wealth today, because it wasn't just Tulsa, Oklahoma, but there were race massacres all over this country where black people had property, land, and were trying to live their life, and white people just couldn't leave us alone. And those communities were stolen, destroyed, wealth destroyed. and we wonder why we don't have generational wealth. And like I told you, these three beautiful survivors of the massacre, one has gone home to old glory, and that's Mr. Van Ellis at 102 years old. But Miss Fletcher and Miss Randall, and all of them said they wanted reparations. So if our elders, should I say, if our elders have enough sense to be able to say we want reparations, and our elders, like lawyers, Brother Franklin, and I.H. Spears, if black people in these days were saying we want restitution for what you did to us, and we have the living descendants in today's time who says we want reparations, then this is the question I have to say to everybody listening tonight. What the hell is wrong with black people living today who have the audacity and the ignorance to say out of their mouth that I'm talking about black people who come from this lineage? How the hell, specifically, can you say out of your mouth that the descendants of these great folks and the living descendants, we don't need to worry about reparations, that they shouldn't get anything, or that, oh, we don't need it, when there's already been other groups who had experienced some type of wrong of property, whatever it may be, and they were given some type of form of restitution? So I don't know. I don't understand how anybody today, with all our technology, with all the shit that we have today, that you can fix your mouth or your mind to say we don't need it, when I'm laying out the case for why they should have gotten it a long time ago. And then you ask yourself, why are we got black people at the White House celebrating, dancing around, shaking their asses? I know it's Juneteenth. Okay, I understand it's Juneteenth, and they were having a Juneteenth celebration at the White House. But what the hell are we dancing and celebrating? We celebrating Juneteenth for those few black people that were made aware that they were free, or we think they were free, because we really weren't free, y'all. We went from being in shackle slavery to Jim Crow. Black people really weren't free. I don't even really know why we even celebrate this Juneteenth when Abraham Lincoln played a lot of games around the issue. I just want to show you something. This shows you that we need to learn lessons. Check this out. And you can look this up for yourself. This is what Abraham Lincoln said. If I could save the Union without freeing any slaves, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing all of the slaves, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, remember, he only freed some black people. There was only, and the black people that he freed didn't even know that they were free. That was in the Texas area, which is where we get the whole Juneteenth. So he didn't really give a damn about black people. It was all about keeping the Union together, because the South had free labor and were pulling away from the North to become their own independent nation and world. And Lincoln and all the other people at that time, they had to do whatever they could to keep them together. So what they do? They put economic sanctions on them by freeing the slaves, which means they don't have to work for them. But then they had another form of slavery. Remember, it's called what? Sharecropping, convict leasing to those black men that were in prison. So this is what he continued to say. I could save it by freeing some and leaving the others alone. I would also do that. What I do about slavery and the colored race, I do because I believe it helps to save the Union. He didn't care about us. He only cared about keeping the South from leaving the damn Union. And what I forbear because I do not believe it would help to save the Union. You see what he's talking about? I shall do less whenever I shall believe what I am doing hurts the cause. The cause was to keep the Union together. He didn't give a damn about black folks. And I shall do more whenever I shall believe doing more will help the cause. It was about the cause. What was the cause? Keep the damn Union together. Keep the damn Confederates. Keep that damn Confederate army. Keep them intact. Keep the country intact, and just use black people as pawns. And then we set up here in the year 2024 dancing at the White House with Billy Porter in a damn dress, kissing the hands. I'm just showing you where we at today. Kissing the hands of Jim Crow Joe. Like this. I'm going to get into this some more on my other channel, y'all. I rebranded the channel. You guys know it as Information Man Speaks Podcast. It is now called Info Man Reacts. Info Media, I'm sorry, it's Info Media Reacts. So some of you are already subscribed to the channel. I just changed the name. I'm rebranding. It's going to be a reaction channel, and I'm going to go in more in detail with my reaction on the Billy Porter situation at that. But I'm saying, why are we celebrating when we have 3 living descendants of a massacre who were denied justice? And then we at the White House shaking booty and kissing the hands of Joe Biden, cooning around, listening to hypocritical religious performance like, what's the man, Mr. Gospel Man, Kurt Franklin, my God. And of course, Gladys Knight was there. You know, she's a great star, but we don't have time to be partying. They should have been asking Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, why haven't you put forth a reparations package for the living descendants, or not living descendants, for the survivors at Oklahoma? That should be the question. Where is the reparations? Where is the package for them? You can give the Ukrainians $14 million. You can give Israel $10 billion and give Ukraine $14 billion. Let me correct that. But you can't give people who are foundational to the country, built the damn country, built it up. You can't give them a damn thing, but you can give foreigners in another country because you got a proxy war in Russia. And you're so in bed with Israel that you forget to take care of the home base. This is really a damn shame. What do you all think in the chat room? Let me go back in some more of this. When they originally filed their lawsuit, prior to all that's happened now. But the city attorney judges oppose offering restitution at every step. In one suit, Harry L.S., an assistant attorney for the city of Tulsa, denied that any of the city's police officers were guilty of wrongdoing. That's bullshit. They were involved.
Tell the truth.
Officers were guilty of wrongdoing, even though a state investigation unfolded around the same time identified specific officers as participating. Mr. Helen, I discovered through my research, was a member of the Ku Klux Klan in the 1920s, so we're at the least 2 local judges. 2 local judges were involved in the Ku Klux Klan. I am not surprised. We know what the times were that they were living in. Among the most famous images related to the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre is the photos of two black attorneys. And I have shown you the photograph right here. Let's get back to this right here. The date of June 6, 2021, less than a week after a white mob mobbed Greenwood, a thriving Oklahoma community known as Black Wall Street, the men, B.C. Franklin and I.H. Spears, as you see right there, going to work, doing a tally on the damage and the property values that they were going to sue for. But you got racist Ku Klux Klan judges all over the legal system down there, are surrounded by savage law books, several tons of law books, as you see on the picture. Yeah. Right. Secretary sitting before a long typewriter. That's the young lady who's the secretary, taking down notes. This is all a damn shame. And then this is what happened. So what happened to Viola Fletcher and Miss Randall with the Supreme Court saying that they didn't want to touch it, that they didn't want to set new laws, they didn't want to set presidency, they wanted to kick it back and tell the lawyers. Check this out. This is what happened. This is what happened back in 1921. The grand jury blames Negroes for inciting the race riot. No, it was a massacre. Whites clearly exonerated. This is a newspaper from back in those times. The grand jury blames Negroes for inciting the race riot. Whites are clearly exonerated in Tulsa World, June 26, 1921, the final edition, section 8. This is out of their article, written newspaper back in the 1920s. They totally exonerated the white men for doing what they did and tried to blame black people. When we know the story, what was the story? Is the story true that it was a young black male who was I don't like that word boy, but he shined shoes. He wanted to use the restroom. The restroom for black people was a little bit far away from where he was at, so he had to run. And one of the stories is that he got on an elevator and he, I think the elevator operator was a woman, or was a woman on the elevator, a white woman, that he might have brushed past her, trying to hurry to get on the elevator, and brushed past her, but she lied and said that he sexually assaulted her and did all sort of things to her. That was a lie, just like what happened with Emmett Till. Another lie told on him. Now that's one of the stories that was told that initiated this race massacre. So nothing has changed in the year 2024 from 1921. It's the same bullshit. You've got these justices who are probably related to some of these people that were out there doing the shit. Who tells them you're going to have to kick it somewhere else. So what are they telling them, folks? They basically told them in a nutshell that they need to go back to the Oklahoma legislation and make the Oklahoma State Senate do something to change the laws. That they're going to have to go to the executive branch of government in the state of Oklahoma and may need to go to the executive branch of the United States government. Something has to be done, but you know as well as I know that Joe Biden, with a flick of a pen, could do an executive order and give them restitution. With a flick of his pen, just like he used a flick of his pen to give the Ukraine $14 billion, to give Israel another $10 billion. He had no problem bringing all those people over here from Afghanistan who are now going to need what? They're going to need housing, shelter, jobs, and opportunity that he should have focused on with black people here in America who have paid dues in this country and have fought in every war. That's the one thing that I must say is the truth and nothing but the honest truth. Black people who were born here in America, we are the only group of people who have fought in every war in this country's history, from the Revolutionary War when they were fighting against Great Britain to the Civil War. Remember, we were fighting in the Civil War. It wasn't until the black soldiers, we call them the Buffalo Soldiers, fought in that war. If it had not been for that, United States would not be United States. Along with the Haitian Revolution that took place against the French that caused them to go broke and therefore to sell off the whole middle half of the country, called the Louisiana Purchase, as you know, which is the whole middle half of the country, to be able to help form the rest of the country. But black people fought in the Revolutionary War, the Vietnam War, World War I, World War II, Korean War, every damn war you can think of. And not to mention the Tuskegee Airmen, who are responsible for assisting in this country winning World War II against Hitler. If it was not for the Tuskegee Airmen and the triple nickel was an all paratrooping army, a military troop of black men. What were the triple nickel? They were the paratroopers. They were the guys that would jump out of the planes, land on the ground with weapons in hands, ready to kick ass. A lot of the triple nickel brothers and a lot of the brothers who came, they was called the Harlem. A lot of the brothers came out of Harlem, New York. If it was not for that contribution, this country would not be anywhere where it is today. And this is why I have to say to our brothers and sisters that come here from other countries, this is why you have to at least respect our history and let's have dialogue about our history, because I don't think, whether it be Africa or anywhere, I don't think the disconnect is that we don't know each other's history. And when you know the history, you will understand that a pathway was laid down, a blueprint was laid down to make things possible. Because at one time, like we have a lot of black folks that come from other countries that come here and go to school, get education and what have you. Got to remember, at one point in time, if you were black in America, you were not allowed to go to these schools like Harvard, Yale, all these, which we call PWIs, predominantly white universities. That's how you got historical black colleges in the first place, or one of many other reasons that took place in history. And we have to keep that in mind. So they gave him the runaround, y'all. Let me read this one right here. The third, unlawfully interfering with obstructive or trends to instruct or to remedy damages for passages and lack or navigable river streams, canyons, basins, or public parks, squares, streets, or highways. This is all over the place, y'all. Fourth, in any way remedies other persons insecure in life or in the use of property provided. This section shall not apply to pre-existing agriculture activities. So this is part of what was in the, let me read this here. Continuing, the court said this, ladies and gentlemen, today holding a consistent with our recent public nuisance laws, expanding public nuisance liability includes lingering social inequalities from historical tragedies and injustices, runs the risk of, check this out, they didn't want to deal with it because they didn't want to create a new precedent. This is racism. This is them not wanting to give black people what we're owed, but they hide their racism. They hide their bullshit in their legal talk and jargon. They're saying here that the historical tragedy and injustice runs the risk of creating a new unlimited and unprincipled 13 forms of liabilities wherein both states and non-state actors could be held liable. They're so damn concerned about other people being able to sue them for what has been done to them that they don't want to see black people who are the survivors of this and their descendants get anything because they want to hide behind the law and say we're concerned about how this can open up a Pandora's box. From the liabilities within both states and non-state actors could be held liable for their predecessors. You know what this is about. Oh, we can't be held accountable for what our predecessors did, our ancestors did. We can't be held accountable. We've been hearing this all our life, black people. We can't be held accountable, but you benefited from what they did. You benefit from the generational wealth you have today, and you benefit by the generational wealth you have in the state of Oklahoma. And you benefit from taking land, destroying a black community, blighting it, putting a freeway through it, destroying it, destroying businesses that were thriving at the time, which could have caused and created generational wealth for those black people in that community to this very day.
Tell the truth.
information is power.
They're talking about their predecessors. They're the people that came before them, wrongdoing which current actors played no part. So this is the game that they playing. This is the bullshit game that nobody that's living there today in Oklahoma, the white folks, they didn't play no part, but they benefited from what their ancestors did. They benefited. They benefit from the laws being on their side. They benefit from wealth. They say that their actors played no part. To hold otherwise would place Oklahoma courts in the unorthodox position of fashioning remedies for these claims or ventilating into a realm of outright policy making, both of which we decline to do. So these bastard ass judges of their Supreme Court in Oklahoma, they declined to do it because they were concerned, in a nutshell, about the people that live there today, that they're not the ones that we should be blaming for what happened. Well, then what the hell is restitution if restitution ain't restitution? Restitution is for people to be made whole and to get what is due them based on what they lost, based on damages. It doesn't matter, in my estimate, whether it was in 1921 or 2023 or 24. It happened, and you have the living victims of it, and you still don't want to make them whole, or the community, because you don't want to make a law and open up, you think, a floodgate, because you don't want to hold the white folks that live in Oklahoma who have benefited from what they did to this town, to this community, to this very day. That's why they didn't get, this is the bullshit they put out here. They define the unjust enrichment as a condition which results from the failure of parties to make restitution in circumstances where it is unequitably, i.e., the party has money in its hand that is equal in good consent. It shall not be allowed to retain. The court said that plaintiffs claim that defendants' fundraising, the community development efforts constitute active wrongdoing considered alone is insufficient to support a claim of unjust enrichment. This is some bullshit.
Information is power.
do reparation the easy way, it would have already been done.
T's Barbershop is the longest standing business on Black Wall Street since its rebirth after the Tulsa Race Massacre. Owner Willie Sells says over the last 40 years of working this stretch of downtown, he's always known what came before him.
Those people that were here suffered a terrible loss, and I think it's affected the city down through the years.
Over 100 years ago on this same street, a white mob decimated the community. It's reported that up to 300 Black Tulsans were killed and over 30 blocks of the city were devastated. The few living survivors filed a lawsuit in 2020, seeking reparations for the trauma they lived through. Leslie Benningfield Randall, Viola Fletcher, and Hughes Van Ellis saying the city caused a public nuisance all those years ago that continues on to this day. A Tulsa judge dismissed the case last year, but the survivors took the case to the state's highest court. After years of deliberation, Fletcher, Randall, and the family of Van Ellis's fight came to a defeated close Wednesday. The Oklahoma Supreme Court voting to uphold that 2023 dismissal in an 8-1 ruling. Sells tells me he has prayed for a vote of support from the court. Now, though, he hopes someone will bring them justice some way, somehow.
We're hoping and trusting and praying that the city, the state, or somebody in Oklahoma would give reparation to those survivors.
It's just pure bullshit, y'all. I want y'all to hear this one right here.
Jolene, Kevin, the Oklahoma Supreme Court says while the grievances are legitimate, they do not fall within the scope of our state's public nuisance statute.
You have the perpetrators of the massacre who has escaped any liability for 103 years.
The state Supreme Court rejects a lawsuit.
Did y'all hear that? The brother said it's been because they had the centennial not too long ago. It's been 103 years that they have escaped prosecution for this. And remember, you heard them say in the other video that I played that Viola Fletcher, those survivors believe that the public nuisance not only impacted them at that time, obviously, but it has impacted the community all the way up to today. And they're telling you, oh, the people that live there now, the white folks that live there now, oh, it ain't their fault. But they're maintaining the same bullshit.
Seeking reparations. Wednesday's decision upholds a lower court's ruling to dismiss the case. The ruling comes more than 100 years after a white mob destroyed the one.
All right, we saw that part, but I want to let y'all see another part here. And let me play this right here.
Now, one is 109, the other 110 years old. In the ruling, the court said the grievances, although legitimate, did not fall within the scope of Oklahoma's public nuisance law.
What matters is that the public nuisance, the property is still blighted.
Did you hear what they say? The property is still blighted, y'all. So this still is affecting them in 2024. And they want to tell you that nobody that's living today is the blame for any of this. Yes, they are. They're still screwing this community over to this very day. It's continuing to go on.
The city of Tulsa sent News 4 a statement reacting to the ruling, saying it, quote, respects the court's decision.
Let's get out of that right there. So that's what's going on. This whole damn thing is a damn complete shame. Highway robbery. And this is why, how can we sit up here like Billy Porter kissing Joe Biden's hands? How can black people party at the White House, listen to music? I think Phineas Floyd, George Floyd's brother, was there. I'm going to be talking about that on the Reaction channel, the Info Media Reacts. Make sure that you subscribe to Info Media Reacts. It's the same channel that was once called Information Man Speaks Podcast. If you still subscribe to that channel, then you're good to go. I just changed the name and I'm rebranding and doing a different thing over there. I'll be doing reaction videos, uploaded videos that will be short videos, reaction to all different issues. what's happening in pop culture, what's happening in entertainment, what's happening in politics, what's happening with people, any and everything. I'll be doing reaction videos to different topics over there. That is the channel that was once called Information Man Speaks Podcast, but it's just been rebranded and changed to, or the name has been changed to Information Media Reacts. Info Media Reacts. So just want to give you guys a heads up on that. I'll be dropping content over there hopefully this week. This whole thing is a damn shame. Remember on this picture right here, Miss Fletcher went to Washington, D.C. and gave her testimony. This is the thing that bothers me. What is the sense of black people going to Washington, D.C., talking to the government, talking to congressmen, both on the Democratic, or should I change what I said, both on the Democratic side and the Republican Klan side, telling them what her experiences are, and nobody there can come up with a reparations package for this woman or the survivors? Her, Mr. Ellis before he passed away, and Miss Rando, and the descendants that still live in Tulsa, Oklahoma to this very day. Not a damn dime from this government. Now, we know that they spent money putting a museum in the community to remind people what happened, but damn it, a museum is great because people can learn about the history, but damn it, they need money and checks in hand.
Tell the truth.
And let me tell you what's another shame, because I agree with this point that Yvette Carnell said on her channel. Isn't it a shame? And let me, I want to make sure I put this image up here. Give me just 1 minute. I just want to make a point here about something. Give me a minute. Isn't it a shame, y'all, that we're willing to give money to crooks? Remember, I did a video about why do you have black people using social media to grift other black people? Isn't it a shame that we're willing to give money to people who lie to us, deceive us, mislead us? Like the Jay Morrison, he came up with the term Tulsa Real Estate Fund. The Negro took in $12 million, mishandled the fund, was using maybe allegedly the money for his own personal gain, allegedly. And I want to know why. I'm trying to pull up this picture I have of him just to bring home the effect of it all. I want to know why we gave this man the money that we gave him. I can't find that picture that I was looking for, but I want to know, why did we give Jay Morrison all that money, but yet we couldn't raise $12 million or more to give to these beautiful people before they all pass away? You see, we can give money for people that talking about they gonna make a film for you. They want to do some crowdfunding. So you're gonna give them all that money to make a movie. When we don't need movies, we need action. We need reparation. We need restitution for our people, like the three that you see up here. We can give someone like Umar Johnson money for a school that he said he was going to have built in 2013, that he's been talking about for 13 years, and he has those abandoned buildings in Delaware, Wilmington, he's had for 5 years and hasn't done shit with it. You gave him money. He gets on his Cash App every day talking about Cash App, give me this, give me that. Have you ever seen any of these shysters ask you money so that they can give the money to these three victims of the Tulsa? So we're going to give Jay Morrison, a hustler, a man who's a hustler, a jailbird, an uneducated hustler. You put $12 million in his hands, which he splurged on himself allegedly. And now the Tulsa, Oklahoma real estate fund has gone up in smokes and people can't get their money back. But we could have given that money to the Viola Fletchers, the Miss Randalls, and the Mr. Ellis of the world for what they went through. We could be supporting them, you see. But instead, we like to give our money to slick people that can talk slick and come up with slick ideas and then rip us off, like the polites of the world. Remember, black folks were given polite money. Black folks were spending all their time watching Nature Boy. And we also spend a lot of time listening to people who never show themselves to you. They hide behind their channel and avatars, never show themselves, never show up to no real stuff that's happening out there, but just talking behind the scenes, never show themselves because they really trying to hide from black people that can hold them accountable when they see them in person. Let me show you what they lost before I end the program today. I appreciate everybody that came over. Thank you, Infinite Energy, who says the stream should go viral. Yeah, I mean, it should, because I'm talking some real stuff over here, but I understand how YouTube works. I think I need to do a stream about the religious pimp who's now going to get 9 years, Bishop White. Should I do a stream about Bishop White, who's going to be going to jail for 9 years for ripping, once again, another black man that black people have put money in his hands to enrich him while he deceives them? We're putting money in the wrong hands of people who are deceiving us, and the black people that have gone through something, and we see how this country has not allowed them to win a legal battle to get restitution, but we're giving money to other shysters when we could have been giving that money to the people like Ms. Viola Fletcher, Ms. Randa, and Ellis. We could have been helping them out and helping our own selves out and our own families instead of giving money to the pimp preachers who wear a lot of bling, pimping the gospel. And you had black people every time that Bishop Whitehead came on Facebook, he would have hundreds of people watching him. I can't get nobody over here, but y'all will watch this guy who's ripping the community off. While we sit up here and we say, man, it's messed up that they didn't give them the reparations or what they needed and what they wanted. Well, we could have put some money in their pockets. I'm sure Mr. Ellis, before he passed away at 102 years old, I'm sure he was living maybe on a fixed income. I'm sure Miss Viola Fletcher, she's living on a fixed income. I'm pretty sure they've got some family members down there, work helping them out, but still, they're living on fixed incomes. I'm sure Miss Randall was living on fixed income. But yet we rather give slick talking pimps in the pulpit, slick talking individuals on social media, all the money from our community. I don't need a documentary about hip hop. I know who created hip hop in America because I grew up in it. I came from from that generation. We spending our money on the wrong stuff, and we got black folks that can't even win a case against a courtroom that's stacked against them. By these individuals right here. And this is what they had, y'all, before I end the show. Check out this slide right here. Boom. More than 70 businesses operated in mostly 1, 2, and 3-story red brick buildings clustered along the block. All but a couple were owned by black entrepreneurs. Okay, let's continue. Right here, you have JJ's dentist. You have a dentistry. Let's let this move. This is shout out to Yvette Carnell. She had this on her channel. Let me read this. You had Earl's Real Estate Company. You had the Oklahoma Sun, which was their newspaper. You had the Exchange Insurance Association in these buildings over here to the right. You had you had a tailor business for those who like to have their suits tailored, right? You had Rose Beauty Salon. You had Mary Jones School of Natural Education. You had physician, Bridgewater Physician. You had doctors in the community. Wesley Jones Physician. J.M. Kelly Physician. So you had a whole bunch of black doctors, physicians over here. Thomas R., who was a real estate man. So let this move some more so that the words will come out a little bit more clear. So you had real estate, all sorts of businesses. You had Economic Drug Corporation, meaning Economy Drug Corporation, meaning that's the drug store in the community. Rooming house. Somebody owned a rooming house. You had Neverland Barber, CJ's Neverland Barber, W.J. Tate's electrician. You had black electricians in this. This is like a replica of what it looked like on their main street, y'all. Then you had a Place Barber Shop, Safety First Loan Company, a place where they would give loans. Black people were doing the damn. This is in 1921. Where is our Black Wall Street in 2024, huh? Where is it? Huh? Where is it? Huh? Carl's Walker rooms for rent. You got Dylan Shoe Shiner. We got PJ's Restaurant. Right here, you've got Brownswick Billiards Parlor, like a billiards where you can play pool. Man, Bell and Little Calf, a little cafe. Doc Eastman, Huge Calf. The East End Cavern. Wow, they had places where you can eat, we can relax. We got I.H. Spears. Check this out. Didn't I tell you that there was the lawyers who filed the lawsuit where they lived in the community? We got Spears. The law firm of Brother Franklin and Spears is right on this block. These brothers right here. Well, Spears, he had his business right in the community, obviously. We got a hotel over here. I'm just reading what's coming up. Boom. In this stretch along, there were 4 hotels, 2 newspapers, 8 doctors, 7 barbershops, 9 restaurants, and a half dozen professional offices of real estate, agency, dentistry, lawyers. Man, cigarette shops were on the block too. Wow. There was a home undertaker. Wow. The YMCA cleaners. Wow, 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 wow. Then I think they had a theater. There it is, Dixon Theater. This is the Dixon Theater that was burned down. Look at the picture right here. They burned it down. I think that's the theater or one of the theater. I think that's the Dixon or one of the theaters that was burned down. Dixon, though, was that all of this was burned down, y'all. All of this was destroyed. Everything that they had. We got John Bell Barbers, Samuel Stockberry Shoe Shiner. We've got who else we got over here? We got S.G. Smith Insurance. Wow. Photographers. Oh man, they had everything. They had everything. And we ain't got shit today. With the year 2024, black folks ain't got none of this stuff jumping off. Not in one place like this. Nah, we don't. We might have black businesses scattered out throughout the country in different spots and different places. I know Atlanta's got a big black middle class out there, but I don't think we've got nothing like they had where everything was concentrated like this on this kind of level. And of course, because why? You had segregation. Black people had no choice but to live together and work together. You could shop for groceries, play pool, take in a theater, show, eat, dining, or get your hairstyle without ever leaving the block. Can y'all hear what they're saying here? Without ever leaving the block. Hooker Clothing. So you got a clothing store over here. Tulsa Star. Let me hold that back. Red Wing Drugstore, Red Wing Calf, Red Wing Tailor, Red Wing Hotel, Red Wing Barbershop, C.E. Smith Physician. So you had a lot of professional people in this community. Wow. Let's just let it run. So this is the basic replica of what it looked like. This is the place that I had on the picture. This is Dreamland. That's a theater. That's the place right here that they burned down, Dreamland. Dreamland was a theater as well. That's over to the right here. Let me keep this moving. Wow, this is crazy, y'all. Let me push that. We got Stanford. We got Stryford Hotel, Ferguson Drugstore. Well, look at that. We got the Tulsa Waffle House. Look at it, you got a little train running here. Man, they had it going on. Where is this shit at today? We got all these black folks in entertainment and all we supposed to be more sophisticated today. Shit, we ain't got nothing like this. We got black folks scattered in different pockets of the country that may have a little bit of wealth in little small pockets, but we don't have anything we ain't got nothing jumping off like this. Not today. Don't tell me. I don't think Atlanta's got anything jumping off like this with this much property all concentrated like this was. Check this out. My grandfather often talked about how you could enjoy a full life in Greenwood, that everything you needed or wanted was in Greenwood. You never had to go anywhere, said Star Williams, 40, the great-granddaughter of Granville Clark, who was 18 during the massacre. He talked about seeing black success and how his sense of identity and pride, y'all, came from Greenwood. The businesses on Greenwood Avenue were owned by people who were amongst Tulsa's most prominent black citizens.
Tell the truth.
They go to train again. Now it's coming back. That's the Dream Theater. That's 102 Greenwood Avenue. That's the building. All of this is the structures in their community. And then boom. Look at that. Look at the brother with his family, his wife. He riding a smooth ride there. And let me read this. John Williams came to embody the entrepreneurial spirit of Greenwood. They owned confessionary at 102 Greenwood. That's the building right here on the corner with the yellow on it. That's being highlighted Avenue. The East End Garage around the corner on Archer Street. Wow. This is amazing. That brother right there owned this property right here, 102 Greenwood Ave. right on the corner. That corner right there. And then this is the 129 Greenwood Avenue. That's the Dreamland Theater. There it is right there. And then look at what they did to it. I told you, I'm giving you a comprehensive program here. Look at what they did to it, y'all. And there it is right there. But look what they did to it. Destroyed it, right? The couple also owned 750-seat William Dreamland Theater. Let me let that pop up a little bit more. Boom. So there was a black couple that owned this, obviously. The couple also owned a 750-seat William Dreamland. That's the couple that was in the car, y'all. So he owned multiple businesses. Dreamland Theater at 129 Greenwood Avenue, the first movie house for black people in the city. It often both silent films and live shows and was also a community gathering spot, y'all. This is fantastic stuff. Everybody, I see my man, the DoorDash Revolutions come in. Maurice Smith has come in. Thank you all for coming here. Back in the late 50s and early 70s, blacks had their own sections in all major cities, but urban renewal, which is basically Negro removal, removed it. Right. I'm saying, yeah, black people had communities in little pockets, but I don't think we had anything quite like what they had in Black Wall Street, because you had black folks with some deep pockets there. I don't think we've ever, because why you think we talk about it like we do so much, because they had something, they built something that was the most prominent at that time than anything that we've ever seen. And I don't think we've seen anything like that to this very day, to that level. So you let me know what you think on this video. Make a comment on this video. Share this video on all your social media, everybody. I appreciate you coming out and listening to this presentation tonight. I appreciate you. Thank you. I just wanted to lay this down. I wanted to do this on Sunday, but Sunday was Father's Day and with family and what have you, things of that nature. And I really appreciate you. Make sure that you go over to the Info Media Reacts channel. Stroll down on this page and you'll see it in the area where I have channels that I have. It's the same channel. It's the Information Man Speaks podcast channel. I just changed the name of the channel. That's all. And I rebranded it. That's all. So I thank you again. Thank you. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you for saying it's excellent dialogue. Thank you. I hope you all got something out of the presentation tonight. Once again, what's been recommended that they're going to have to do is that they're going to have to go to the legislation of Oklahoma. They're going to have to put pressure on the state representatives there. They're going to have to go to the executive branch there, an executive branch here for our government in Washington, D.C. They got to continue putting pressure. And I heard someone also say that they also should go to the international courts as well. They got to they got to do any and everything that they can. I suspect that they're doing this to stall out the two survivors because they're both over 100 years old. And I'm pretty sure they're hoping that both of them will pass away so that they can say, hey, there's nobody alive to you don't have nobody alive. But we did have 3 people alive and you've still been denying it for quite some time. So the fight still lives on. I appreciate you all out there again. I'm going to get ready to get on out of here. Y'all take care until I see you very soon again. And once again, be on the lookout for the reaction channel, the Info Media Reaction channel. I'll be dropping a video over there specifically tailored around that situation at the White House with those black folks partying and Billy Porter. Oh my God. Anyway, y'all take care, everybody. Peace, 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 peace.
I'm in that only daughter. Do I make you
Take care, everybody. Peace.
Tell the truth.
I'ma make a better way. Hey, nigga, catch a break. Better way. Oh, way.
Tell the truth.